Okay, so Canadian immigration, specifically the British Columbia Provincial Nominee Program, the BCPNP. We're diving deep today into one specific stream that's, well, it's getting a lot of buzz. The Health Authority stream.
Yeah, a lot of people are calling it a shortcut to permanent residency.
When for good reason.
For good reason, yeah.
I bet you're wondering why it's causing such a stir.
Well, BC really needs healthcare workers.
Yeah.
And this stream is designed to kind of attract them.
Right.
The biggest draw is that it bypasses the LMIA, the Labor Market Impact Assessment.
Right.
So that's a big hurdle. Removed, it makes it easier for you as the applicant, but also for potential employers.
Yeah, no battling through the LMIA. That's definitely a good thing.
Yeah.
But what I find interesting is how many different healthcare jobs are eligible.
Oh, it's broad. It covers all the NOC tiers.
Wow.
We're not just talking about doctors and nurses.
Right.
It's everyone from management roles down to support positions, like cleaners and security guards. So BC is really looking to build a comprehensive healthcare workforce, recognizing that every role is important.
I like that inclusivity. And that extends to international students too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If you are on a post-graduation work permit from an eligible Canadian institution, then this stream waives the usual work experience requirement.
Wow.
So you can transition smoothly from studying in Canada to living here permanently.
Now that sounds like a fantastic opportunity for students who want to, stay in Canada after they graduate.
Yeah.
But what about healthcare professionals who aren't currently in Canada?
You can still be eligible, even if you're applying from outside Canada.
Oh, wow.
You'll need to demonstrate at least 2 years of relevant experience, of course.
Okay.
But it means the stream is open to, a global pool of talent.
And no registration required either.
Nope.
That seems pretty streamlined.
It is. You just need to meet the criteria and apply directly. No need to pre-register or wait for an intake period.
All right, so let's talk about those eligibility requirements then.
Okay.
First up, the job offer.
Right. So you'll need a permanent full-time job offer from a public health authority in BC.
Okay.
So that could be, regional health authorities, provincial health service providers, or similar institutions.
I understand that there's a bit of a unique exception to that rule.
There is. If your job falls under the BC PNP tech stream, the job offer doesn't have to be permanent.
Interesting.
It's an interesting overlap that opens up more options, really.
It's definitely something to keep in mind. Now, I imagine that certain healthcare professions, like, they might have some extra documentation hoops to jump through.
Yeah, you're right. For some professions, like physicians, nurse practitioners, and midwives, you'll need an additional recommendation letter. This letter should come from your intended health authority or practice group.
Right.
And it just needs to confirm your qualifications, and the role you'll be filling.
Okay, so that makes sense. Let's talk about work experience then. We know that international students on a PGWP, they're exempt. But what about everyone else?
Yeah, so if you're applying from outside Canada, you need at least 2 years of relevant work experience in the healthcare field.
Makes sense.
It just demonstrates that you have the skills and knowledge to succeed in a Canadian healthcare setting.
Okay, work experience checked off the list. What about language proficiency?
Yeah, so BC PNP takes that seriously.
Rightfully so, especially in healthcare.
Absolutely. So the specific language requirements, well, they depend on the NOC tier of your occupation. If you're in NOC tiers 0 or 1, you might not need to submit language test results up front. But they could still be requested.
So it's not a guaranteed free pass.
Exactly. For those in NOC tiers 2 through 5, you'll need to provide those language test results right away. They accept IELTS and CELPIP, and you'll just need to meet the minimum score requirements for your specific occupation.
Makes sense. Strong communication is vital. Now, last but not least, the financial side of things. What's the lowdown on the income requirements for this stream?
So your gross annual income needs to meet a minimum threshold. But the exact amount, well, that's calculated based on several factors, like where you'll be living in BC, the size of your family, and whether or not you have any dependents.
So it's tailored to each individual situation.
Yes, it is. And it's important to remember that this calculation only includes your base salary. So things like bonuses, tips, housing allowances, those aren't factored in.
Good to know. It seems like they really want to ensure that newcomers can, support themselves financially in BC.
They do, yeah. It's about setting people up for success.
Now, I know that there are two ways to apply for this stream: express entry and the non-express entry pathway. What's the difference?
Yeah.
And is one better than the other?
So they both lead to the same goal:
Okay.
permanent residency in Canada.
Right.
But express entry can potentially be a faster route if you qualify.
Okay.
It's designed for highly skilled individuals, those who meet certain criteria.
So if I'm eligible for express entry, that might be the way to go.
It's possible, but there are other factors to consider, and we'll dive into those in our next segment. We'll take a closer look at what makes each pathway unique and who might benefit most from choosing one over the other.
So we just finished talking about the two pathways for this stream.
Right.
Express entry and non-express entry.
Yeah.
It seems like the express entry option could be faster,
Yeah, it can be.
but I imagine it's not that simple.
You're right, it's not always a clear-cut decision.
Mhm.
Express entry is definitely geared towards those who score high in Canada's points-based immigration system.
Okay.
Factors like age, education, work experience, and language proficiency all contribute to your score.
So it's a bit of a numbers game.
In a way, yes. But even if you don't have a sky-high score, the non-express entry pathway is still a viable option. It might take a bit longer, but it's a solid route to permanent residency for those who meet the program requirements.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's say I'm eligible for both. How do I decide which path is right for me?
That's where careful consideration comes in, and perhaps some professional guidance.
Yeah.
It's important to weigh the potential benefits and drawbacks of each pathway based on your personal circumstances. Things like your timeline, your risk tolerance, and even your future career aspirations can all play a role in the decision.
I bet it's helpful to have an immigration lawyer or consultant in your corner to help you navigate these complexities.
Absolutely. They can provide personalized advice based on your unique profile and help you put together the strongest possible application.
It sounds like this stream really is designed to attract healthcare professionals to BC.
It is, and it's working. British Columbia is facing a growing demand for healthcare services due to an aging population and an increase in chronic illnesses. This stream is a proactive way to address those needs.
It seems like a win-win situation. Healthcare professionals get a pathway to permanent residency,
Yeah,
and BC gets the skilled workers they need.
exactly. But I think it's important to remember that this isn't just about meeting immigration criteria or filling job vacancies. It's about finding the right fit, both for the individual and for the community they'll be joining.
That's a great point. It's about more than just checking boxes on an application. What are some things people should be considering beyond just the requirements?
I always encourage people to think about the bigger picture. British Columbia is a beautiful province with diverse communities and lifestyles. Before you commit to this stream, consider where in BC you want to live, what kind of work environment you're looking for, and even the cost of living in different areas.
So do your research and don't just jump at the first job offer that comes your way.
Exactly. Take the time to learn about the different health authorities in BC. Some are in bustling urban centers like Vancouver, while others are in smaller towns or rural areas. Each one has its own unique culture and pace of life.
And speaking of Vancouver, I know that the cost of living there can be pretty high.
It can be. Housing in Vancouver is particularly expensive, but it's not just about the mortgage or rent. You also need to factor in things like transportation, groceries, and everyday expenses.
So someone considering this stream needs to be realistic about their budget.
Absolutely. Research the cost of living in the specific area where you'd be working and living. Make sure your salary expectations align with the reality of the local market.
It's like choosing a university or a company. You don't just apply to any program or take any job without first doing your homework.
Exactly. Think of this as a long-term investment in your life and career. You want to make a choice that feels right on multiple levels.
So location and cost of living are key considerations. What else should people be thinking about?
Climate British Columbia has a range of climates, from the temperate rainforests of the coast to the snowy mountains of the interior. Think about your personal preferences and how the climate might affect your lifestyle. Do you love being outdoors year-round, or do you prefer milder weather?
I imagine it's also worth looking into the types of outdoor activities and recreational opportunities available in different regions.
Yes, absolutely. If you're an avid skier, hiker, or cyclist, you'll want to make sure your potential new home offers plenty of options to pursue your hobbies. British Columbia is known for its natural beauty and outdoor adventures, but those experiences can vary depending on where you live.
We've talked about lifestyle, cost of living, and even the climate. Sounds like there's a lot to consider beyond just the immigration requirements.
There is. And one more important aspect is the healthcare system itself. While you will be contributing to the BC healthcare system as a professional, you'll also be relying on it for your own healthcare needs.
That's a really important point.
Take some time to understand how the Canadian healthcare system works, especially in British Columbia. Familiarize yourself with wait times for specialists, explore the different types of healthcare providers, and learn about the coverage and benefits you'll have access to.
So in a way, you're wearing two hats, that of a healthcare professional and that of a patient.
Exactly. And being informed on both fronts is essential.
We've given our listener a lot to think about here. It's clear that choosing to immigrate through the BC-PNP Health Authority stream is a significant decision that requires careful planning and research.
It is. But for those who do their due diligence and find the right fit, it can be an incredibly rewarding experience.
So it's not just about coming to Canada. It's about finding the right place within Canada to build a fulfilling life.
Absolutely. And that often requires looking beyond the surface and considering the nuances of different communities' lifestyles and even personal values.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about the positive aspects of this stream. But what about the potential challenges? Are there any pitfalls to watch out for?
There are. And we'll explore those in our next segment. We'll discuss things like processing times, potential job offer issues, and the importance of staying up to date on any changes to the program requirements.
Welcome back. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into the BC PNP Health Authority stream.
We have.
Talking about its advantages, eligibility, and even what life might be like in British Columbia.
Right.
But now, let's get real.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges, the potential hiccups someone might encounter?
You're right. It's important to be realistic. While this stream is designed to be straightforward, it's still an immigration process.
Yeah.
And those are rarely simple.
Right.
One thing that often tricks people up is processing times.
Ah, yeah, the waiting game.
Exactly.
What kind of timelines are we looking at here?
Well, it can vary, the
Yeah.
volume of applications, the complexity of your case, and even how quickly you and your employer respond to requests for information.
Right.
All of these factors can impact the processing time.
So patience is a virtue when it comes to immigration. Is there anything applicants can do to help things move along a bit more smoothly?
Absolutely. First and foremost, make sure your application is complete and accurate.
Okay.
Double-check every detail, gather all the necessary documents, provide clear and concise explanations.
Yeah.
Any missing information or inconsistencies, well, they can lead to delays.
It's like that old saying, measure twice, cut once.
Exactly.
A little extra attention to detail up front
Yes,
can save a lot of headaches later.
exactly. And don't be afraid to reach out to the BC PNP if you have any questions.
Right.
They have resources available to guide you through the process.
Good communication is key.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears and talk about the job offer.
Okay.
Obviously a crucial part of this stream.
Yes.
But what are some common pitfalls to watch out for?
Make sure the job offer is genuinely in line with the program requirements.
Okay.
It needs to be a permanent, full-time position,
Right.
except for those tech-related healthcare roles we talked about.
Right.
And the wages. Those must meet or exceed the prevailing market rate for your occupation in BC.
So it's not just about getting any job offer, it needs to be the right job offer.
Precisely. And be wary of employers who seem, too eager
Okay.
or make promises that sound too good to be true.
Yeah.
Sadly, fraudulent job offers are sometimes used for immigration purposes.
Right.
So do your research on any potential employer, verify their legitimacy, and trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is.
Better to be safe than sorry. Now, something else to be aware of is that eligibility criteria can change.
Right.
Immigration programs are constantly evolving.
They are.
So what's the best way to stay informed about any updates or revisions to the BC PNP Health Authority stream?
Regularly check the official BCPNT website.
Okay.
They'll post any announcements or changes to the program requirements there. It's also wise to connect with, immigration lawyers or consultants who specialize in the BCPNP.
Right.
They can offer guidance and keep you updated on any shifts in the landscape.
So they're like your navigators through the world of immigration policies.
That's a great way to put it.
Now let's talk about something that often causes anxiety for applicants. The interview process.
Oh, yeah.
Is it a standard part of this stream?
Not everyone will be called for an interview,
Okay.
but it is a possibility.
Right.
The BCPNP might want to clarify certain aspects of your application, or assess your genuineness, or get a better understanding of your qualifications and intentions.
So it's best to be prepared, just in case.
Absolutely. If you are invited for an interview, practice your answers to common questions.
Right.
Gather any supporting documents that might be helpful. And most importantly, approach it with honesty and confidence.
Like preparing for any important meeting.
Exactly.
The more you practice, the smoother it will go.
Yes, and finally, remember that adaptability is essential for any successful immigration journey.
Especially when you're moving to a new country, new culture, a whole new chapter.
Exactly. Things may not always go according to plan. You might encounter unexpected delays, need to make adjustments, face unforeseen challenges.
Right.
So having a flexible mindset and being open to new experiences will make the transition so much smoother.
It's all part of the adventure.
It is. And remember, you're not alone in this process. Connect with other immigrants, join online forums, build a support network of people who understand what you're going through.
Well, we've explored the BC PNP Health Authority stream in detail today.
We have.
We looked at the benefits, the requirements, the lifestyle considerations, even some potential challenges.
Yeah.
As we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I'd say do your research, plan carefully, be prepared for the unexpected, and most importantly, embrace the journey.
Yeah.
The BC PNP Health Authority stream is a great opportunity for those who are well-informed and ready for a new adventure.
Great advice. And remember, this deep dive is just the starting point. The real exploration begins when you take all of this information and apply it to your own unique situation. Best of luck on your journey. And until next time, happy exploring.